Welcome to Facts for Real Videos. Germany is renowned for its superior engineering. Can such massive initiatives, though, also make an impression? From a $33 billion investment for a new factory to the world's largest underwater road and train tunnel. And from a huge power plant with an unclear future to a striking train station that has undergone a full 360-degree rotation. These are Germany's 10 most costly megaprojects. Let's start off with number 10, the Ell Harmony, which came with a price tag over $900 million once completed. This enormous project swiftly rose to prominence as a famous landmark in Hamburg. It's a concert hall with an extremely distinctive layout. The building's basis is an old warehouse that maintains its original brick style and blends in well with the nearby structures. With its glass exterior and wave-shaped roof, the upper part of the structure has a modern design in contrast to the foundation. However, Ell Harmony's distinctive architecture came at a cost because building didn't go as planned. One real estate developer launched the project in secret in 2007 with an estimated $82 million in costs to be finished in 3 years. A year later, the original budget was completely destroyed when the music hall's expected cost increased by almost twice as much. This led to construction delays, which drove up the cost of the project even further. After spending about $1 billion, the Ell Harmony was eventually completed and opened 6 years ahead of schedule. That exceeds the initial predicted cost by over 11 times. The initiative sparked a flurry of international interest after it was first made public, with numerous major press outlets covering it. Although the music hall's acoustics drew criticism, the majority of the response was positive. Even so, the Ell Harmony has welcomed more than 2.6 million people to date, making it unquestionably one of Hamburg's most fascinating tourist destinations. Now that we have crossed the $1 billion threshold, let's look at even larger projects. At number 9, the $1.6 billion Datteln 4 power facility is one example. For a while, this enormous power plant block was known as Germany's largest illegal construction site. But first, we must examine its history in order to see why. The Datteln coal-fired power plant heated 45% of Datteln's residences and 20% of Germany's trains starting in the 1960s. At the time, it was made up of 3 blocks. But the operating licenses for all 3 blocks were only good until 2012. Thus, it was suggested to construct a new block, Datteln 4, a few years before the license would expire. The electrical output of Datteln 4 was intended to be even higher than the total of the other 3 blocks. Considering its size, its capacity would rank it among the world's most efficient coal power plants. But there were some difficulties with the project. A never-ending legal struggle over the development plan and a pollutant emission permit broke out shortly after work started. Numerous withdrawals and reinstatements resulted in innumerable delays. The facility is still in operation even if the legal issues have not yet been fully resolved. It finally opened in 2020. If Germany's final modern coal plant has a future at all, only time will tell. Next up is number 8, the $2.1 billion skyscraper complex known as Frankfurt. Frankfurt, Germany's financial center, is well known for its striking skyline. It is remarkable that it has 18 of the nation's 20 highest structures. With its most prestigious building to date, the city is about to reinvent its skyline. For we'll build a brand new neighborhood with stores, hotels, residences, and workplaces in the city. The proposed project will have 4 skyscrapers united at one base. These will be architecturally very cleverly designed. The arrangement of the skyscrapers and their vertical folds will maximize sunlight even at the base of the structures, and the distance between them and their facade will produce a unique 360-degree view of the entire complex. 4 is a component of the Financial District Revitalization Plan in Frankfurt. The initial concept was first put forth when Deutsche Bank sought to replace its aging high-rise building with a new one in 1999. But following 9/11, there was no further development on the project for over 15 years. It was not until a fresh developer took over that the current design was decided upon. Construction started not long after the former Deutsche Bank building was demolished in 2018. It is now moving along steadily and is anticipated to welcome visitors in 2025. At number 7, we have the $2.4 billion SE and Albatros wind parks. Germany intends to progressively switch from fossil fuel energy to clean energy, as we have already discussed. With renewable energy already accounting for 44% of Germany's total energy production, this goal is gradually coming to pass. The SE and Albatros are 2 of the projects that make up this production. The two distinct wind parks have been integrated into a single project and are situated in the North Sea close to the German-Dutch border. It can benefit from strong sea winds and totally avoid noise pollution because of its location on the open sea. However, because construction is more challenging here, there is also a significant drawback. Everything had to be taken into account during the planning stage, including the seafloor's firmness, the waves, and the weather. Furthermore, the location's waters are 40 meters deep, meaning a massive amount of material was required for the turbines. Just these alone required about 10 times the amount of steel that went into building the Eiffel Tower. Despite the challenging circumstances, the construction process was completed in 2020 with great efficiency. With its current electrical output, the wind park can power over 700,000 households with its 640 megawatts of power. The location's waters are 40 meters deep, meaning a massive amount of material was required for the turbines. Just these alone required about 10 times the amount of steel that went into building the Eiffel Tower. Despite the challenging circumstances, the construction process was completed in 2020 with great efficiency. With its current electrical output, the wind park can power over 700,000 households with its 640 megawatts of power. Now let's move on with number 6, Terminal 3 at Frankfurt Airport, which cost $4.30 billion. Frankfurt Airport, which had a peak of 70 million passengers in 2019, is by far the busiest airport in Germany. In order to better compete with other airports in Europe and handle such a high volume of traffic, Frankfurt Airport is constructing a brand new terminal. 3 piers, G, H, and J, that make up the terminal are expected to enhance the airport's capacity by 19 million passengers a year. The plans also call for the construction of a 4th pier, K. However, whether or not this happens will depend on how many people use the space in the future. While Pier G is complete, the other 2 piers are still being built. Pier G would normally be accessible to the public by now. But as of right now, it appears less like a terminal and more like an abandoned warehouse. The yearly passenger count fell by 73% after the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, and the airport is still recuperating from that blow. It won't be profitable to open the new pier just yet because it will take some time for annual passenger traffic to return to its peak. Rather, the intention is to complete the remaining portions before opening Terminal 3 in its entirety in 2026. Next up on the list is number 5, the $5.5 billion Berlin Brandenburg Gigafactory of Tesla. The market for Tesla eventually encompassed all of Europe as the firm progressed. The sole means of satisfying the market's demands was to import their merchandise from other continents. Tesla made the decision to establish a gigafactory in Europe to produce batteries, powertrains, and the Tesla Model Y in an attempt to remedy this failing business plan. Upon the first announcement of its expansion, several European nations started vying to be selected as its location. This makes sense because the gigafactory ought to significantly strengthen the nation's economy. Ultimately, a site in Germany, close to Berlin, was selected. Its decision was influenced by a number of factors, including its strategic location in Europe and close proximity to Berlin Brandenburg Airport. When building did eventually start, the firm had to deal with protracted administrative backlogs. As a result, Elon Musk, the company's CEO, wrote to the authorities to express his disapproval of Germany's intricate planning regulations. Nevertheless, it only took 3 years to complete the construction, and it opened in 2022. Over 10,000 people are employed by the factory at the moment, and it is steadily increasing output. Since it is the only Tesla facility of this size on the continent, its ultimate goal is to produce 750,000 cars annually. At number 4 we have Brandenburg Airport in Berlin, Germany, costing $7.50 billion. Currently, Berlin Brandenburg Airport is the only commercial airport that serves both Berlin and the neighborhood of Brandenburg. Though it has only been operational for 3 years, the project has a lengthy past. 3 different airports served Berlin and the surrounding area following the fall of the Berlin Wall in the previous century. It was suggested that a single, massive airport be constructed in place of the 3 as they were all growing increasingly crowded. However, it took more than 15 years for this proposal to be implemented in the end due to legal issues. At first, it was anticipated that construction would cost $2 billion and take 5 years. The project encountered major financial difficulties as a result of grossly underestimating construction expenses. This led to a further 9-year delay in construction and a significant rise in cost. Even worse, the COVID-19 epidemic struck right before the event in October 2020. As a result, The airport needed to incur additional costs to keep the number of travelers low. But in 2022, Berlin-Brandenburg Airport finally resumed regular operations, handling about 20 million people. And going forward, this figure ought to increase much more. Please consider subscribing to our channel in order to see more videos similar to this one. We can continue on this adventure and make better quality videos thanks to your support. Moving into the top 3, the $7.8 billion Fehmarn Belt Tunnel is one example. Germany and Denmark are connected by Fehmarn Island, which is situated in the Baltic Sea. This link makes it possible to travel practically directly from Hamburg to Copenhagen. However, a ferry is required to cross the water between the two nations. The Fehmarn Belt project, which consists of 2 tunnels, is being built in order to eliminate this congestion. The first bridge will replace the existing, outdated one that cannot support the growing volume of traffic, and connect Germany to Fehmarn. Rather, more traffic will use the tunnel, and only bicycles and pedestrians would use the bridge. The second one will alleviate the hour-long boat voyage bottleneck by connecting Fehmarn to Lowland. It will be the longest combined road and rail tunnel in the world at 18 kilometers, needed to link the 2 islands. Additionally, they plan to launch an entirely new train route. This will provide a more direct connection between Germany and Denmark by enhancing the region's whole railway network. Owing to its size, the project is expected to be completed in 2029 and cost $8.3 billion in total, which will be divided between the participating nations. But as we'll see in a moment, this expense pales in comparison to the most costly endeavor in this film. Next up is number 2. Extending the Stuttgart 21 railway. The $10.4 billion Stuttgart 21 megaproject was so divisive that it even sparked acts of violence. Stuttgart served as a significant junction for numerous railway lines, making it a long-standing transportation center in Germany. But Stuttgart's previous infrastructure was antiquated and extremely inefficient. The Stuttgart 21 project was put out as a solution to this urgent renovation demand. The railroad station was 90 degrees rotated and moved below. It's being converted from a terminal station to a through station, which will greatly improve communication with neighboring cities. This roof is quite unique because of its shell-shaped supports, which will give it a totally unique design. For this, an entirely new strategy was selected, which is expensive to develop. Thus, the station receives daylighting from the glass domes. Furthermore, further extremely challenging work was completed. For instance, because it is a listed structure, this one was placed on stilts. Additionally, about 60 kilometers of new tunnel were excavated. All things considered, Stuttgart 21 will be a significant improvement that will drastically reduce travel times in the area. Although the project faced numerous challenges and strong criticism, its engineering brilliance is undeniable. Primarily due to the initial cost rising by more than 3 times. The peak of this opposition came in 2009 when, during one of the protests against Stuttgart 21, police in Stuttgart used excessive force against the demonstrators. Numerous individuals suffered injuries, with one person losing his sight permanently. 2 years after the various protests, there was a referendum. Nevertheless, the project continued and is expected to be completed in 2025, with nearly 60% of voters supporting the continuation of work. With a $33 billion price tag, the Intel Gigafactory is at the top of our list. We have the most expensive megaproject in Germany, costing more than 3 times as much as Stuttgart 21. It's the Gigafactory for semiconductors that Intel intends to construct in Magdeburg. In order to contend with Samsung, Nvidia, and additional chip producers, Intel implemented a novel approach known as IDM 2.0. With this new approach, Intel intends to produce processors for businesses other than itself. Intel must continue to broaden its global supply chain in order to effectively execute it. As a result, it was decided to invest up to $85.8 billion in European projects. This comprises, among other factories, ones in France, Poland, and, crucially, Germany. The Gigafactory should also be very beneficial to Germany, as it will provide jobs for tens of thousands of people and increase its level of self-sufficiency in the microprocessor industry. It was projected that work on the project would begin in early 2023 and conclude 4 years later. Unfortunately, due to emerging finance challenges brought on by growing energy and material costs, this plan has already collapsed. How do you feel? Which of these initiatives is the most striking? Which one, perhaps, ought not to be constructed? Tell us in the comments section below. Watch this movie to get an overview of the largest megaprojects in the United States. We appreciate your time and we'll see you in the next one. Tell us in the comments section below. Watch this movie to get an overview of the largest megaprojects in the United States. We appreciate your time and we'll see you in the next one.